Hey guys, I'm on the road again, so I thought I'd do a quick video here because we've been pretty quiet on our channel. So we've got constitutional carry bill filed. Jonathan Stickland has filed HB 357. So that's going to be our constitutional carry bill. And you know, one of the things that's driving me nuts is all of these so-called pro-gun people, these so-called Second Amendment supporters who do not support constitutional carry. And what I wanted to do was take a few minutes or more to break down the arguments against constitutional carry by not only those that are just opposed to gun rights in general, but those that claim to support gun rights and oppose constitutional carry that are supposed to be on our side. Because it's frustrating, and I think those people should recognize who you're partnering with. So let's start and get the rhetorical argument out of the way about why you should support constitutional carry. If it's not constitutional carry, then what is it? It's unconstitutional. Because our federal constitution, first of all, says shall not be infringed. That's pretty simple, pretty blatant. And our state constitution says virtually the same thing. And then it adds in a section that says, with a view that the legislature shall have the power to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. So in order for it to be constitutional that there is no unlicensed carry here in Texas, the legislature and our politicians would have to prove that banning or forcing, banning constitutional carry or forcing law-abiding citizens to get a license is detrimental to safety. Now, those on the left and those butters, I support the Second Amendment butt crowd, would argue that the license is how we keep that safety. That's why the legislature has done that. But there's absolutely zero proof of that. And we also don't have to assume, hey, what would it look like if we got rid of the license? You know, what kind of safety issues would we have? Because we have 36 states right now that we can point to that have unlicensed carry, all right? Of those 36, 21 are unlicensed open carry only, and 15 are what's called constitutional carry. And of that 15 of constitutional carry, just because the butters like to argue the numbers and go, oh no, it's not 15, it's only 13, as it matters. But of that 15, 2 states are constitutional carry with some caveats. So for example, in Montana, it's constitutional carry outside of city limits. In New Mexico, it's constitutional carry as long as the firearm is unloaded. So you can carry the magazine on you, it just can't be in the magazine if you don't have a license, or in the magazine well, excuse me, if you don't have a license. So we've got 36 states right now that have constitutional carry, and it's not a problem. If it were a problem, we would not be having more states pushing constitutional carry. We would have less. So the next argument is, if it has to do with safety, these are the same people that are arguing that we've got to get rid of so-called assault weapons. That is the modern sporting rifle. That is the weapon of choice among sportsmen, hunters, self-defense aficionados, Second Amendment, whatever. That's the AR-15. So right now, I can carry an AR-15. If I have a stamp, I can carry an automatic weapon. I can carry any long rifle that I want, and I don't need a license for it. But yet I need a license to carry a pistol. So it makes no sense. The argument just holds absolutely no water. Then you've got the crowd, and this is mostly on the so-called gun rights side. You've got the crowd that goes, hey, we need to have the license because we don't need idiots walking around, and everybody needs to be trained. Let me tell you something. Anybody that's been through the Texas license to carry course, or really any course in any state, the so-called licensing training, it's not training, especially here in Texas. What it is a recitation of the law. I can read the law on my own. So those idiots that the left and the butters on the pro-gun side are pointing to, they go into this training as idiots and they come out of this training as idiots. You go into this training as trained, or you come out of this training as trained. The license to carry course does not in any way make you a better, more responsible shooter. All it does is teach you the law. So if you have a license and you get in trouble, you can't necessarily say, I didn't know. That's it. That's what it does. So that's a fallacious argument as well, to say that the license to carry ensures that idiots aren't running around with guns. Okay? Also, along the lines of that argument, I don't recall anywhere in the Constitution, either the state or federal Constitution, where it says that shall not be infringed except to prevent idiots from carrying guns. As a matter of fact, it's because idiots carry guns that I carry a gun. The only thing to stop an idiot with a gun is someone who's not an idiot with a gun. So that argument again falls flat. The next thing is the cost, of course. Some people are saying that, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to get a license anymore. We got it down to $40. It shouldn't cost a dime, so that's $40 too much. I would even argue if the license was absolutely free, it's still an infringement because I still have to get a permission slip from the government. But I want to get away from that. The point of this is simple. We have constitutional carry here in Texas. We have had constitutional carry here in Texas since our founding. And that includes, of course, rifles and shotguns. However, since the Motorist Protection Act, I think is what it was called, you've been able to carry a pistol in your car, unlicensed, for about 12 years or so. I'm a little off probably on it might be 10 years, but either way. And so, has it been a problem? If constitutional carry in vehicles was a problem, don't you think we would have known about it? If all of the people who say that getting rid of the licensing, and keep in mind, we're not trying to get rid of the licensing. What we're trying to do is make the licensing voluntary. There was just a story out of South Carolina where some people broke out of prison, including assaulting the guards, very violent thug criminals. And this woman was able to defend herself when one of these giant thug felons broke into her house, and she ended up killing him. Good for her. Now, that was in the home. You don't need a gun in the home. But here's the other way that we have constitutional carry here in Texas. Felons and prohibited persons and gangbangers and people who shouldn't have guns have guns. They carry them. They have constitutional carry right now, right this minute. They don't go and get licenses. If you're a felon, if you're a criminal thug, if you're a gangbanger, if you're MS-13, you don't go and get a license. So the felons and the bad guys get to exercise their right to keep and bear arms without having to ask for government permission. But the good guys, us, you and me, we have to go and beg for permission to exercise the right to defend ourselves. So already, with a view to prevent crime, well, if you want to prevent crime, according to the state constitution, and I'm talking about the state constitution now, where it says the legislature shall have the power to regulate the wearing of arms with a view to prevent crime. Well, and that right there speaks to why constitutional carry is both constitutional and requiring a license is unconstitutional. Because it's very difficult for me to prevent a crime if I don't have a license. Well, CJ, just go get a license. Well, what if I don't? What if, one, I don't have the time? What if I live somewhere, because Texas is a big state, what if I live somewhere where there is nobody around that can teach the class to me? What if I live somewhere where I can't get to the range? What if I can't afford to go to the range? What if I can't afford the license and the class and all the other stuff that comes with it. Well, then how do you have a gun if you can't afford the license? What if the gun was given to me? What if the ammo was given to me? What if the reason I can't afford that is because I had to buy the gun? These are all fallacious arguments. And what you're going to find is frustrating the heck out of me is that you've got these so-called pro-gun people who have been so brainwashed and socially engineered to think that it's the responsible thing to do to get a license, that responsible gun owners go and get themselves a piece of paper that says, yeah, here you go, you can exercise your rights. I go to church every Sunday, and not once has my pastor asked me for my license to attend church. I do a radio show every morning from 8 to 11 here locally, and not once have I been asked for my license to express my opinion. When I speak to you right now here on YouTube, exercising my First Amendment rights, I don't have to have a piece of paper and some training to be able to do this. I have free speech. Whenever at my house, I don't have a license to prevent troops from being quartered in my home in violation of the Third Amendment. I don't need a license to be able to exercise my Third Amendment rights to keep the government from quartering troops in my home. I don't need a license to prevent the government from illegally searching and seizing my property. I don't need a license to be able to have a jury trial. I don't need a license to go and vote. Yes, I have to register. I don't need a license for all of these different kinds of things. And what I would argue is, by the way, voting's not a right. There is no right in the Constitution to vote. There's simply states cannot discriminate on who can vote. So I'll just throw that out there. But our inalienable right to life is just that. It's inalienable. I have a right to life, which means I have a right to defend that life, which means I have a right to the tools with which to defend that life. And that's what constitutional carry does. All it does is it allows law-abiding citizens, if you can legally purchase, possess, and own a firearm, you should be able to carry it without a license. I know, I shaved. You know what? I shaved 10 years off my life there, proud of your freedom. I know. I can't do the beard thing. Anyway, I digress. I was responding to a comment. We have got to educate gun owners that it is not irresponsible if you don't have a license. All right. So 357 is important. We've got to get this passed. One of the things that I have told our legislators the last session, because one of the things I hear the most is, oh, CJ, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. You know, it just takes time. We've got to do this in increments. This incrementalization is not how we get constitutional carry. All right. We have got to ask for everything. Do you know what just happened this this last election? We lost 11 total seats in the House. 11 to Democrats. So there are 11 more Democrats in the House and 11 fewer Republicans in the House than there was last session. Some of those are the Freedom Caucus guys. There are 2 fewer senators than we had last session, and both of them are Freedom Caucus guys. Well, a guy and a gal. So we lost Huffines and we lost Connie Burton. Don Huffines and Connie Burton. 2 champions of constitutional carry. Now, if this trend continues, do you think that incrementalization is going to get us constitutional carry in the future? No. The time to do this is now. We have got to talk to our representatives and make them aware that they are doing no one any favors by preventing us from having constitutional carry. We already have it. What logic and common sense does it make that I can't carry a pistol, even a .22, without a license, yet I can carry a 30-06 or a 308 Winchester AR-15 without a license? I can carry a machine gun without a license. So the arguments about safety and all of this kind of stuff are absolute and utter nonsense. We have got to equalize the playing field by allowing law-abiding citizens to carry the same way that the bad guys are carrying, and that's without a license. So That's the argument. That's the argument we got to make. Now, why are you not backing up bump stock elimination? Because I don't support the bump stock elimination. That's going to do absolutely nothing. If you got any other questions or arguments that you think are going to come up in the constitutional carry argument, or if you've heard a myth about it, let me know and I can address that really quick in this video. The bump stock, I don't agree with the bump stock ban at all. I think we've been very vocal about the bump stock ban. We do not support it. It is the wrong way to go. It's a violation of our rights. It doesn't matter. It's not going to solve any problems. All it is a feel good. And what it is we've allowed them now to ban an accessory to a firearm. That's what the bump stock is. And okay, gotcha. We are backing the fight. We've been backing the fight. But when we allow the government to ban bump stocks, and this is another part of the butter crowd. Oh, it's just bump stocks. It's not like we can't have guns. Where does that end? Where does your lack of support for the Second Amendment end? Because if they can ban an accessory, which is what the bump stock is, what next? Collapsible stocks? Foregrips? Picatinny rails? Certain kinds of barrels? Certain kinds of magazines? Certain kinds of triggers? Maybe forcing triggers to have a certain poundage for trigger pull? So we should never compromise on this issue because the issue is uncompromisable. Shall not be infringed doesn't say shall not be infringed except for insert your little carve out right there. So for those of you that are out there saying, oh, well, I don't own a bump stock, or bump stocks are stupid, which they are, or no one needs a bump stock, or bump stocks don't do any good. All of those are very valid arguments. Bump stocks are stupid. They're just fun. They don't really serve necessarily a purpose. I've got one or had one, but that doesn't mean that we should back the fact that it's banned just because you don't like it. I don't like Glocks. Oh, now I just pissed off half the viewers here. Just kidding. I have a Glock. But if I don't like Glocks, that doesn't mean that I would support a Glock ban just because I never own anything. We have got to stand up to this government because when they think they can ban something, it means that we, the people, agree with the fact that they have even the power to ban something like that. We've got to stop giving the government oh, there we go. Actually, I'm just talking about what Blake said. The government never allows anything. We allow them. So very true. And are we going to allow them to do that? No, we should not. We've got to stand up and we've got to get people involved in this fight. Everybody has to come together next year. The session starts in January. We've got from January to June to get HB 357 passed, and we're going to get a Senate sponsor for that. That's what we've got to do. There are 3 other states right now that are poised to pass constitutional carry next year. 4 if you count Texas. We've got to be one of them. I defy anyone. If you're a liberal, if you're a butter, one of those half-witted gun rights supporters who believe in licensing away your rights, and you think you have a good argument for why you think constitutional carry is a bad idea, Chris Crock of Shiite, that's what I'm talking to you. Nothing you have said other than I want the government to have more power is a valid argument. That's the only argument for requiring licenses is I want the government to determine who is privileged enough to exercise their rights. That's what a license is. I don't care how cheap it is. I don't care if it's free. It is a violation of our rights. So I challenge. My email is cj@cjgrisham.com or cj@opencarrytexas.org. You can email me with your glorious arguments and your defense of the licensing scheme and opposition to constitutional carry. I'd love to hear it if I haven't explained it or addressed it already. And then I'll come back and do another video and address your individual argument. I won't give your name, but if you think you have a valid argument, or even if you're someone who still supports constitutional carry, but you've heard an argument I did not address in this video, email it to me, cj@cjgrisham.com or cj@opencarrytexas.org. And I'll address that here so that you have a video to point to on why constitutional carry is a good idea, first of all, And second of all, why we need to get back to the Constitution. Every single gun law that prevents a law-abiding citizen from keeping and bearing arms is a violation of the Constitution. Now, how that gun is used, obviously murder is not legal. Yes, the government can regulate how it's used and what sorts of circumstances. And obviously that means if you use a gun to violate someone else's rights, that's where the power ends. So, not where I can carry, because I have a right to keep and bear arms. And it doesn't say a right to keep and bear arms only in some places. Wherever I plant my feet, wherever you plant your feet, you have a right to defend your life. It doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter if you're in a school. Doesn't matter if you're in a hospital. Doesn't matter if you're in a government building. If you are there, you have a right to defend your life and the rights of those around you. And we have got to stop this incrementalization that's going the wrong way. It's going backwards. We're allowing them to chip away at our rights. We're not getting more rights back. I would even argue open carry didn't give us any more rights. All it did was change how we can carry. We have not had a progression of rights since 1995. We have gotten no new rights since 1995 at all. And that's got to change. All right, guys, this is a 21.5-minute video. I was hoping to keep it under half an hour, so that's good. Take care, God bless, and be free.